This carrot ginger soup is one of my faves. Just a few simple ingredients and you've got an elegant starter dish to serve guests that's gluten-free, vegetarian, and so delicious. Hi, I'm Mara. Welcome to my channel. I am so glad that you're here. If you're new here, this channel is dedicated to helping you become a more confident hostess. So whether that's sharing recipes like I'm going to do today, tips, ideas, even DIYs, I share all of that with a new video every week. So if that's something that you're into, please be sure to hit subscribe and then we can hang out every week. I am filming this in September, or as I like to call it, Souptember. I love soup. It's just one of those things that this time of year, the weather starts to get colder, we've got some beautiful harvest vegetables in season, and I feel like soup for a meal checks all the boxes. It's heartwarming, it's nutritious, and it's easy. So are you a soup person? Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious, where are my soup people at, and what's your favorite soup recipe? Because maybe I'll just have to try it. So I like making this carrot ginger recipe when guests come over or for the holidays, even for an easy weeknight meal. And with the holidays right around the corner, this makes a really nice recipe for guests who maybe have some dietary restrictions. So, you know, it's because it is vegetarian, it's also gluten-free, and I'm going to show you options today on how to make it also dairy-free. So you've got that option there. Plus it's really yummy. So people who are eating it won't actually know that it's checked off all those boxes. The other thing I like about this recipe is that because you can make it ahead, when I've made this before, I can make it ahead, put it in the fridge, and then when guests come, all I have to do is reheat it and just top it with some spices. I'll show you what I'm gonna top it with. And there you go. You've got your starter all set. So the first thing we're gonna do obviously is peel some carrots. That's what I'm doing here. We're gonna peel these carrots, and don't worry about the amounts. I'm gonna be sure to put that in the notes below so that you'll have the exact recipe with what I'm using here. But suffice it to say, we wanna peel these carrots and then slice them thin. Now, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna put them in my food processor because it saves me time. But if you don't have a food processor, I want you to slice these thin, but not super duper thin. They still have to have a little bit of thickness to them. So like maybe 1/4 of an inch thick, something like that. So that food processor really made short work of these carrots. So that's about 4.5 cups. And next what we're gonna do is chop our onion. We want it to be diced. And I'm just gonna dice that up here. I have yet to find a way to chop onions so that I don't cry. Here we go. And I've got a plate that I'm just gonna stack that in here so that when it's ready, I have it all at the ready for me. Woo! Try not to cry. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Then you're also gonna take ginger. You're gonna use fresh ginger root. And I like to taste the ginger in it. I like it a little bit more gingery. So I would say you would cut about a 2-inch piece of ginger. And we're just gonna peel that. Ooh, that onion is now making me cry. I'm gonna have to turn the plate this way. Whew. Okay. So with the ginger, you want to slice it relatively thin. So whereas the onion was diced, the ginger's got to be pretty thin. And you can also see I need to sharpen my knife. And then next, we're gonna take a potato about a medium-sized potato. We'll peel that as well and cut that into pieces. I find it easier to do all the chopping work first, and then that way, as you go along and you're making it, you've got all your ingredients right on hand and at the ready, and you're not looking to find, you know, washing up a clean cutting board, or where did you put your good knife? You've already taken care of it. Oh, so now we're gonna just dice up our potato. To the side. To start, we're gonna add some olive oil into the bottom of the pan. And we're going to also add our carrots. That's gonna go in. And our onions are gonna go in. Now we're gonna turn the burner onto a medium heat, and we're gonna saute these vegetables until they get soft and the onion becomes kind of see-through. So let's fire this baby up. Put it to medium. And we'll just let that saute in the olive oil. Now, I will say this, you probably need to keep an eye on this. So don't just put it on and walk away, because there's nothing worse than having your onion burn, and there's no getting burnt out of your carrot ginger recipe. Believe me, I've tried. Once it's burnt, that's it. You've got to start all over again. So just keep an eye on it, saute it, like I said, until the veggies are soft. Okay, now that the onions and carrots have softened up, it's time for us to add the veggie stock. So we're gonna add the veggie stock in. Ooh, smells really good, you guys. So the veggie stock, and we're gonna add the ginger, and we're gonna add the potatoes. Now, the reason we add potatoes to this is because the starch in the potatoes helps to thicken up the soup and just kind of gives it a little bit more heft without adding, you know, really invasive flavor. Now we're gonna set this to simmer, and once the potatoes are cooked and soft, then we know this is done and we can move on to the next step. Okay, so about 10 or 15 minutes has passed, and I'm just gonna check to see the potato if it's tender. Oh, yep, it is. So now all we're gonna do, so now that the potatoes are tender, all I'm gonna do is turn this off and just let it cool for about 15 minutes or so, because the next step is for us to put it in the blender. And I don't really wanna put boiling hot ingredients in the blender, because what happens is steam will build up and it will explode. And we don't want that. We don't want anybody getting burnt. So I'm gonna let this cool for about 15 minutes, and when it's ready, we're gonna head to the blender. So it's been 15 minutes, so all I'm gonna do is ladle this in portions into the blender and give it a good blend. So now that everything is all blended, if this is something that you're gonna make ahead, at this point is where you would stop. So you would take all your blended ingredients, put it into a resealable container, and then put that in the fridge or put it in the freezer. So future you is gonna thank you for making something like this and popping it in the freezer so that you have some really easy weeknight meals. Or again, if you're hosting, you can do this far enough ahead of time and then pop it in the freezer. So this is the last and final step, is now you're gonna add your blended soup into another pot, and you're just gonna warm that up till it gets warm. And once that's warm enough, to that we are gonna add about 1 cup of milk or cream, or here's where, if you have somebody who can't eat dairy, you can add your favorite non-dairy alternative. So I feel like coconut milk would be a really delicious addition to this. I know I've seen other recipes using carrots and coconut milk, so I think that would be really nice, but you can experiment and try other dairy-free alternatives. At this point, I like to add some coriander. Coriander has a really spicy, nutty flavor to it, and the coriander works so nicely with carrots. It just helps to kind of brighten and liven this up a little bit. Now just a few finishing touches and we are ready to plate this up. So we are ready to plate this beautiful carrot ginger soup up. So I add just a dollop of sour cream. Again, if you're making this dairy-free, you don't have to add the sour cream. Some gluten-free croutons, and a little bit of black pepper. Well, there you have it, a tasty carrot ginger soup. Now it's time to taste it. That's so good. It's like rich, not overly creamy. And then the ginger adds a really nice heat, and you've got that little touch of sour cream on top. It is so good. And best of all, because it is vegetarian, it's also gluten-free, and you could make it dairy-free as well. So I gave you some tips throughout the recipe to make it dairy-free. That means that everyone can enjoy it. So until next time, cheers my friends, and happy hosting.